Amandla! Amandla! Viva Cosatu, viva! Viva Cosatu, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva Sanko, viva! Viva SACP, viva! Amandla! Long live the spirit of Nelson Mandela, long live! Long live the spirit of Albertina Sisulu, long live! Long live the spirit of Chris Hani, long live! Long live the spirit of Joe Slovo, long live! Long live the spirit of Wisile Mini, long live! Long live the spirit of John Gomomo, long live! Long live the spirit of Elijah Bakhai, long live! Amandla! Comrades, ndiyabulela ukuba lapha dumela. Sanbonani. Abisheni. Ndimasiyari. Lochani. Awu seniyalahleka ke nina abantu base-Eastern Cape. Uma ngithi abisheni niphendula nithi ahe. Isitsonga ke leso. Uma ngithi ndimasiyari niphendula nithi abude. Isivenda ke leso. Abisheni. Abisheni. Limasiyari. Limasiyari. Awu seniphethe ke ngoku. Comrade President Stumo Dlamini, the President of the Congress of South African Trade Unions, Comrade Zingiswa Losi, Deputy President of Cosatu, Comrade Blade Nzimande, General Secretary of the South African Communist Party, Comrade Richard Mtagane, the President of Sanko, Comrade J.C. Duarte, the Deputy Secretary General of the mighty African National Congress, NEC members of Cosatu, the leaders of the SACP, the leaders of Sanko, NEC members of the ANC, Comrade Oscar Mabuyani, the provincial chairperson of the ANC, Bambiza udiya ke lo senvile ngulo bhuti othetha ngezinto ezithusayo unokuvama ukuthi umuntu phezu komuntu. Comrade Pumlo Mswale, the Premier of our province here in the Eastern Cape, members of the Provincial Executive Council of our government here, members of Cosatu, ninonke nidibene apha as affiliates of the Congress of South African Trade Unions, leaders and members of our alliance formations, abefundisi bamaqhawe wonke ahlukile. Good afternoon, good nonke, comrades and compatriots. It's a joy and a pleasure to be here at Port Elizabeth in this most successful Workers' Day rally that I have been to here in the Eastern Cape. Very, very successful indeed. Comrades, this is not the ANC's day to speak. This is the day for the leaders of Cosatu to speak to the nation, to all of us. And so I'm not going to be long because I have to make way for President Dlamini to come and address you on this Workers' Day. I convey revolutionary greetings to all of you comrades in the name of the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress, your movement, your organization that I know you love so much. I am pleased to be here today to join millions of workers throughout the world who are celebrating the heroic struggles of working people, who are celebrating the victories that they have achieved, but who are also looking at the challenges that lie ahead in terms of winning more rights for working people, not only in South Africa, but throughout the world. Comrades, Workers' Day is a significant day in the life of our country. This is an important day. We fought for this day. In the past, this was not a holiday where workers would spend time together and with their families. This was a normal working day. Your trade unions, you as members of your trade unions, you fought very hard in the 80s to make sure Guti, the workers of South Africa must also celebrate Workers' Day like all other workers in many other countries. You waged a titanic struggle, and today you have succeeded in that struggle, and today, this day is yours. It belongs to you, whether they like it or not. This is your day. Enjoy it and make sure that you never lose this day. This is the moment when you as workers meet together. You spend time also with your family after this rally. It is also a day, comrades, on which workers remember usuku la abasebenzi bakhumbula khona umzabalazo abangena kuwo ukuthi bafumane elilanga futhi nenkululeko yethu. They fought victories and they gained victories to achieve this day so that they can build a better society. It is a day on which workers remember also those who have fallen in the course of the struggle. We remember those workers who also lost their lives. It is a day for all South Africans because the well-being of our nation, in the end, it depends on the well-being of workers. The rights that we all enjoy are nothing if workers are not able to also realize their own rights and enjoy their rights. This is also a day, comrades, when the entire nation needs to be grateful to you as workers, because it is you who have built this country to be what it is. It is you who have made South Africa what it is today. As we walk around and see the progress that we have achieved, this progress was achieved through your hands, through your labor, through your suffering, through your blood and sweat. So this is the day when all of us in South Africa take off our hats to you as workers and say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, siyabulela kuni basebenzi for all the work that you do for this nation. Because in the end, you are the people who make South Africa work. You are the people who make South Africa move. You are the people who make South Africa shake and move forward. So siyabulela ke, and we dip our heads in honor of all of you as workers, and we say to you, we respect you, we love you, we support you, we want to continue walking this journey with you, and all we can say is thank you, and also thank you to you and your families, because it is your families that also make this possible. Siyabulele. One of the great strengths of our liberation movement is that it has been rooted in solid revolutionary alliance of the progressive trade union movement, the South African Communist Party, and the ANC. On this day, we also reflect on how this important alliance, including our community-based organizations, ISANCO, how this important alliance of these four independent, interdependent, cooperative organizations have worked to deliver the South Africa that we live in today. On a day like this, we are grateful as we celebrate Workers' Day that indeed we do have an alliance in our country, because this is the alliance that continues to take South Africa forward. Because it is through united action that the alliance has been able to lead our people in defeating apartheid, and it is only through united action of this alliance that we will be able also, comrades, to defeat poverty, unemployment, and inequality, the problems that we are still grappling with even today. From its earliest days, the workers' movement in this country has been distinctly political in character. This was a movement that said they want to look at the interests of working people in its totality and not only focus on what happens at the factory, on the factory floor, on the mine shaft, or in the hospital, or in the classroom. We said they want to look at the totality of working people and their interests with regard to improving those interests, and that is why our unions then joined the struggle for freedom. The conditions under which workers lived and worked were the result both of an exploitative capitalist economy and a racist and sexist political economy. In the workplace, they were denied basic rights, exposed to dangerous working conditions, restricted to performing menial labor, and paid poverty wages. Apartheid kept them from their places of work, denied them a decent education, discriminated against them in every sphere of life, violated their basic human rights, and kept them in conditions of servitude. It was for this reason, Makabane, that as trade unions fought for the rights of workers on the shop floor, they also confronted the political system that impoverished their communities and enabled their exploitation. It was for this reason that the ANC itself decided at an early stage to adopt a working class bias and decided that the ANC will be on the side of the workers of our country and will make sure that it advances the interests of the working people of our country. And the ANC, comrades, is still exactly there. The ANC stands for the advancement of the interests of working people in our country. And kuloyo nto i-ANC sobe ijike ijongane nemfanelo zabasebenzi ukuthi izise phambili. Asijiki kulonto, sizohlala silapho all the time. You can be sure about that. It was for this reason, comrades, that the ANC was the first to sign on the dotted line to adopt the Freedom Charter, which declared that there shall be work and security, articulating the demands of workers for the right to form trade unions, to receive equal pay for equal work, and for a 40-hour working week, a national minimum wage, and an end to child labor, to compound labor, to the tort system, and to contract labor. Workers have always constituted a massive revolutionary front in the struggle for democracy and freedom in our country. And comrades, kulom zabalazo wabasebenzi, there have been a number of revolutionary leaders like Walter Sisulu, J.B. Marx, John Gomomo, Elijah Bahai, Chris Dlamini, Vuyisile Mini, Achisibeko, Moses Kotane, Oliver Tambo, Mama Shinini, Dorata Mana, and many others who are living examples of the link between the liberation movement and the struggle for workers. So the victories of the South African people are the victories of workers. The victories of workers are the victories of the people of South Africa. We therefore, on this day, must recognize and celebrate the great victories that we have achieved. We recall the leading role that was played by Cosatu in the mass democratic movement, led by MDM, in bringing the apartheid regime to the negotiating table and to a negotiated settlement. It was the power of workers, organized through Cosatu, that brought the apartheid regime to its knees. It laid the basis for a constitution that entrenched the rights for workers, regardless of color, sex, or gender or affiliation, to fair labor practices, to form and join unions. It was through the workers' struggle that we introduced legislation like the Labor Relations Act, the Basic Conditions Act, and which have put in place labor relations regime on a much better footing in our country. Since the advent of democracy, the trade union movement has not retreated into a narrow labor agenda which focuses on workplace issues. The labor movement, and particularly Cosatu, has been integrally involved in the political and socio-economic transformation of our economy and our country. The progress that we have made with the delivery of houses, the grant system, and the improvement in our health system, our education system, have all been due to the participation also of the labor movement, but more especially Cosatu. Comrades, within the next few months, workers in our country are going to achieve another historic victory with the introduction of a national minimum wage for all working South Africans. Now, comrades, lifuna nivisise kakuhle. This is a victory for the workers of our country, no matter what other people may say. This is also a victory for Cosatu in particular, which was the first to really forthrightly raise this issue. This issue was in the Freedom Charter, and over the years, the issue remained there in the Freedom Charter, but it was Cosatu which went to the African National Congress and said there is an important demand in the Freedom Charter that there shall be a national minimum wage. And Cosatu said, we want a national minimum wage for the working people of our country, and we want you, the African National Congress, to make sure that South Africa does become like other countries and must have a national minimum wage. The ANC in a way woke up. Yathi yo, kwangathi besilele yonke leminyaka yavuswa iCosatu. iCosatu yaqhuba lo mzabalazo we-national minimum wage. And iCosatu, many of the workers in Cosatu, to be clear, are already earning way above the minimum wage. But Cosatu, to fulfill its revolutionary objective of lifting the working conditions of all workers, then said, we want ukuthi the minimum wage must benefit all the workers in our country. So when we did the research, safumana ukuthi 6.6 million yabasebenzi. So that we understand kakuhle, in South Africa we have 16 million yabantu abaphangelayo. 16 million people work in South Africa. When we got into power as the governing alliance, there were only 8 million people who are working. Through the years, the number of working people has increased, and today we have 16 million people who are workers. Out of that 16 million people, Makaban, 6.6 million yabo, they earn less than 20 rand an hour. Oganye, they earn less than 3,000 rand. And this is the case in a number of industries. In the farms, yes, in our homes, even the domestic workers, oh mama, abasebenza ezindlini zethu, they are still earning less than 3,000. Yes, workers who are working in things in areas like logistics, workers who are working in transport, workers who are working in a number of industries, service industries and so on, are still earning less than 3,000 rand a month. sathi ukujonga lonto sathi our job, and Cosatu and the other federations, Inactu, Nefedusa, took it up as their revolutionary duty to make sure that we lift 6.6 million workers in our country so that we start the process of doing away with wage inequality. But at the same time, even as we were sitting and negotiating this, we knew, comrades, Uguti, this is not a living wage. A living wage is much higher than this 20 rand an hour. But we said we need to form a foundation. Ufanele Uguti, we must have a foundation so that we can keep going up, because the challenge we faced was that if you were suddenly to say workers must earn, yes, 15,000 rand, a lot of workers would lose their jobs. Many companies would have to close. Many people would lose their jobs. So sisonke around the negotiating table, as Cosatu, as Fedusa, as NACTU, representing millions of workers, as government, as business, as well as community-based organizations, we concluded that we must have a living wage. The struggle for a living wage must continue, but we must start somewhere. And that somewhere is to form a foundation so that we can lift 6.6 million workers, and thereafter, once we have arrived at the beachhead, to move forward, to continue increasing the wages of workers so that we move towards a living wage. So the struggle for a living wage, comrades, is still on. The struggle for a living wage is what you as workers must wage. But namhlanje sethi we are celebrating the introduction in a few months of a national minimum wage. This is something South Africa has never had, and in a few months we are going to have a national minimum wage. It is reason to celebrate, but more reason to congratulate Cosatu leyenu for the absolutely fantastic job that Cosatu did in improving the lives of 6.6 million. Masiqhubeleni izandla Cosatu ngomle msebenzi omuhle. Comrades, we must never be shy or ashamed of incremental victories that we are winning. There are those who are saying, yes, the minimum wage should have been 15,000 rand or 12,000 rand. Yes, we want workers to get that type of wage. But at the same time, many workers in our country would have lost their jobs. Many companies would have closed. Oh, mama, ezindlini, they would have lost their jobs, because even those who employ domestic workers, bebezawuthi, I can't afford to pay you, siyakhulula ke ngoku, hamba uyohlala ekhaya. So thina ke, we had to balance between losing millions of jobs and establishing a firm base and a foundation for us to continue waging the struggle for a living wage. That is what we chose. Others would have preferred, Uguti, yes, have a national minimum wage at 12,000 or 15,000 rand, and then I can promise you, half the people in South Africa would have lost their jobs. 8 million people would have been out of work. Is that what we wanted? We said no. We want to incrementally increase this minimum wage so that our people are kept in employment. At the same time, we also want to continue building new jobs. We want to attract investors into our economy so that we must build new jobs. And on that issue, comrades, we also want the vulnerable workers in our country must be treated correctly. There are workers who work on the farms. There are workers who work in our homes. We want those workers to be given decent conditions of employment, to be given decent salaries, and we also want the equalization of pay between men and women, because we still find in our country there are those who pay men more than women for doing exactly the same type of job. We want discrimination of salaries to come to an end so that men and women who are doing the same job must be paid equally. And this, comrades, is a struggle that you as trade unions must continue to wage. This is a struggle that you must get involved in. Comrades, the other important thing, comrades, we want to protect the right to strike. We want the workers in our country to know and to be clear in their minds that their right to strike is protected. Their right to protest is protected. And as we do that, comrades, we must look very carefully about how, as working people, we engage in our industrial action. We must look very carefully of how, as working people, we are able to look after the vulnerable people in our society. Recently, where there has been strikes and protests, we have found that some of the workers have actually been preventing other workers from doing very important work, such as helping women to give birth, such as looking after very newly born children or babies, where they've been pushing other workers out of the way and saying, you must not do this work because we are on strike. Comrades, no. Masibe no Ubuntu. Let us have that humanity, that even when we are on strike, there are certain services that are important. In the past, children have died as a result of us as workers not executing some of our duties. We are saying, comrades, let us have that basic humanity and make sure that the vulnerable in our society, those who are about to give birth, must be assisted. Those young children who have just been born, they must be given the assistance. And as we go on strike, we need to say we are going to protect the vulnerable. But also, comrades, the other important thing is that even as we go on strike or protest more generally, let us also be careful not to damage the assets that belong to all of us. There have been occasions where out of protest and strike action and community protests, we have gone on to damage those things that belong to us, those things that should sustain our jobs, where we've burnt buildings, where we've torched vehicles, where we've damaged whatever asset that is there. Now, today on Workers' Day, I want to call on all our people and workers in general that let us protect our right to strike, let us exercise our right to protest in a way that is going to make sure that one, we look after the vulnerable, two, we look after the assets of our nation. And through this, we will then be able to strengthen the collective bargaining system in our country. We will be able to know that when we go on strike or protest, it will be done in a dignified way. It will be done as to be able to send a clear message to whoever is responsible for the situation that we are protesting against, to listen. When you protest in a disorderly way and you burn, you may think that you are attracting the attention of those whose property you are burning. My own view is that they listen more to you when they know that you are doing it in a disciplined manner. Umfundisi ume apha wathi thina as South Africans singabantu abaziphatha kakuhle aba-disciplined. I know that workers in our country are disciplined, and the reason why we are celebrating May Day today, Workers' Day, is because we are a disciplined people and we have borne the heaviest load in our country to advance the interests of all our people. So comrades, on a day like this, Litige, as the African National Congress, we are saying, let us celebrate our victories. Let us celebrate who we are as workers. Let us do it with the greatest dignity. Let us do it with pride. Let us do it as South Africans, knowing that we have reclaimed our humanity as South Africans, and we have a number of challenges lying ahead to increase the number of people who are in employment. I want to end by saying, let us enjoy this Workers' Day, particularly because it is a Nelson Mandela year. This is the centenary of Nelson Mandela, and siyamazi ke utata Nelson Mandela, he was a disciplined person, he was a leader of great stature, and this year we remember uKholihlahla Nelson Mandela. We also remember umama Albertina Nontsikelelo Sisulu, and on this day we say we're enjoying this Workers' Day in their memory. We are enjoying this Workers' Day remembering what they suffered for and how their contribution got us where we are. And I say, let us also remember the many workers, the many leaders, and the many workers who also sacrificed their livelihood to get us where we are. So we repeat the call to workers of the world to unite. We must reaffirm the commitment as South Africans to fight for the rights of working people. And I want to end by saying, yes, comrades, as the African National Congress, we long and look forward to the day when the workers in our country will be united under one federation, so that we can have one country and one federation, so that we can have workers talking with one voice, so that we do not have a situation where workers talk against each other and march against each other. We want to see workers advancing forward in unison, just as the forebears of our movement wanted to see. So comrades, with those words, I wish you all the very best Workers' Day. For me, this has been the best Workers' Day ever. we have ever enjoyed, not only in the Eastern Cape, but also in the country. And I must say about it, this is happening in many other towns and cities throughout the country. But Ninage, Balape, Eastern Cape, in the province of legends, you have the very best Workers' Day, and we congratulate you for that. Amandla! Long live Cosatu, long live! Long live the workers' struggle, long live! Amandla! Siyabulela!
Siyabulela!